and welcome in. I'm joined today by Dave Bartoo of Matrix Analytical. He does a very interesting service, y'all. We've all become familiar with like the recruiting rankings over the last 20 years for players, right? About 8 years ago, he started Matrix Analytical to kind of do the same for coaching. Now, his business strategy has been a little bit different than that of the recruiting services like tigerbait.com and others, where, we're going to sell our inside information to fans. He goes directly to coaching staffs and really provides this database to help rank, recruit, and determine how much a coach is worth on the pay scale. So did I mostly get about right what you do? It seems like you do a ton, but let's put it in your words, right?
Right. It is. So first and foremost, we tell stories with numbers, right? We don't watch film. We're not X's and O's guys. We are analytics based, trying to find edges in efficiency. And the goal when we're working with a client program, let's say we're working with Brian Kelly. We don't work with him right now. All right. Would we love to work with LSU? Top brand in the one of the top brands in the country, no question. Right. We already work with 5, 6 SEC teams right now. But what we do is we focus on trying to create efficiencies and reduce risk in staffing. And it started 8 years ago when we went through the numbers. And college football really, Preston, it's 4 things. It's about 70% recruiting. So in the SEC, doesn't matter where the game is played, the better 4-year high school recruiter is going to win about 70% of the conference games. Okay. The other 25, 30%, let's say 29%, is coaching. Now you got a little bit of home field advantage and a little bit of fumble luck, but almost all of college football comes down to recruiting and coaching. And there's tons of recruiting services out there and NIL services and all these things. And so what we decided to do is we were going to focus on the coaching side of it. And so 8 years ago, we started collecting data on every guy. And this isn't head coaching. This isn't just coordinators. Every single guy that wears a headset. And for folks listening out there, there's 11 headsets that are doled out. And those are your big buck guys, right? Your cornerback coach, your tight end coach, wide receiver coach, special teams, all your coordinators. And so we started all the way back at 2010. And we started working with every school, getting all the information. So our database right now is, Preston, if you gave me a name and the guy's position in FBS or FCS, I can give you his entire career profile at that position and his grade relative to everybody at that position since 2010. Right. So it's right now our database has 15,282 career reports on every guy that's been in the FCS and FBS. Now imagine if you are a Brian Kelly and you go, Dave, here's my top 3 defensive coordinators. You add your top 3, and I need you to profile them side by side in their entire careers in the next hour. And I can do it. So imagine the efficiency of getting all that information instantly. And imagine the acquisition risk, because there's 2 risks when you're a football program. You have acquisition risk of talent, and it's the same things for recruiting, right? You have talent acquisition risk, but you got to look at it from the coaching standpoint. And we'll give you a good example about defensive coaching, and I'll give you a good correlation on the SEC. Okay, we'll get there, folks. Just hang with me, all right?
We're going to dive into LSU's coaches in just a bit too. I just want to explain what we're doing here first.
Right. So we have a database, and we have all these guys, and then so we're looking at acquisition risk. Now everybody has a grade. Now to simplify it, we actually use the star system. Now, Preston, I know you hate it. Okay, but the big difference is we don't have 1-star guys. We don't have guys without information. Okay, everybody has, and nobody in our system gets a full grade until year 4, right? Because we want to avoid the one-hit wonders, right? I call it the Doug Belk syndrome, right? Because Doug, his rookie year at Houston, number 9 scoring efficiency defense in college football. Oh shit, he's the greatest defensive coordinator of all time. Slow the roll. Next year, 121st. So we got to be patient when we grade these guys. So in our system, though, it tries to reduce acquisition risk for a head coach. And then it's also reducing salary risk, because every single coach, based on their grade, we calculate their real market value in the conference. So again, let's go back to LSU. Brian Kelly says, hey, I want to hire a Preston guy. Well, Preston's got a 43% grade, and he's a 2-star DC, and his value in the SEC compared to what everybody else pays about 515,000.
Well, I would take 515,000, and I'll also say at this point, maybe a 2-star DC would improve the defense at this point because it can't really get much worse. Um, that being said, all right, so you have this star system, right? What goes into the equation of ranking them? Is it like stat rankings? Is it performance above expected performance
It,
based on your talent? Is it recruiting?
it's a combination of all those things, right? Everything that you would like to evaluate a guy in, that's what we look at. Now, like a defensive coordinator, we have a lot of metrics we can work with, Preston, because we have passing and rushing. So we can take a look at a defensive coordinator and say, look, this guy's really strong against the pass, he's weaker against the rush.
Yeah.
Okay. And we can take a look at, we have relative talent differential, right? So let's take a look at LSU. LSU's defensive coordinator and Louisiana Tech defensive coordinator. Let's say for the season they have the exact same scoring efficiency metrics, passing and rushing.
Right.
All right. They have the exact same metrics, but who has the talent? Who has the lesser talent differential? Well, of course, the Louisiana Tech guy does, right? So he's going to have a higher grade because he's dealing with less talent going up against more talent versus the guy at LSU, which has top 5 recruited talent, and almost all the games they're playing, they've out recruited everybody. So we do have a relative talent differential. And we also, the final big thing we have in there is progression. And progression is how much the program changes one year over the next.
Yeah. All right. So that brings me to my next question about LSU specifically. Okay. You've got the 108th rated defense in the country right now. You couldn't stop a soul, right? And the burning question is right now with fans, is it the talent on the field? Because I do think there's some holes. They missed in the transfer portal this year, and Ed Ogeron left the cabinet pretty empty. So you've got young players and transfer portal players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the actual coaching? What do your books say about LSU's defensive coaching staff?
Well, right off the bat, if we'd have had this discussion at the beginning of September, okay, I would have said their defensive support staff is in the bottom 5 of the SEC with Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina. Guess who are the 5 worst defenses in the SEC this year?
The ones you just named?
Defensive coordinator, bottom half of the SEC. Actually, the number of years and his grade, his closest comp for Matt House is actually Alex Grinch.
Ooh.
Believe it or not, right? Two spots below him in terms of active guys to start the season, it would have been Grinch. So what you had is a program with in the Power 5, a bottom 5 defensive support staff right out of the gate, and a below average graded defensive coordinator.
Wait. Bottom 5 in
the Power 5.
All Power 5 schools.
Yeah. Let's see here. They were at the bottom with Vanderbilt, Cal, Georgia Tech, and Indiana. I can't remember, but it's a bunch of
company LSU should be keeping.
Hell no, not even close, right? Because the common denominator in all them is they all recruit at the bottom. Mm-hmm. So even with subpar coaching, see, this is what I do. This is the anomaly with LSU. Just the talent alone, they shouldn't be where they're at.
Where does LSU rank in the FBS?
In FBS.
Yeah,
the defensive support staff was bottom 15 to start the year. So you're down there with the MAC schools, right? You're down there with Arkansas State. It's just, look, your average guy that wears a headset on defense is every single one of them is graded below average out of all the active guys in college football. It's just that simple. It's not like they're bad coaches. These are all smart football coaches, but when you compare them to their careers versus everybody else out there in college football, it's just the offensive staff is solid. You got a top 35 offensive coordinator. You got a top 20 head coach. You got a top 25 special teams guy. Your offensive support staff is pretty solid, but Coach Kelly just to me missed on the defense. You had Kane. That was elite guy. That was 5-star. He was top 3.
He's a 5-star coach.
Him and Sean Spence are the top 2 defensive line coaches in probably top 5 in all of college football. Kane was top 3 on our list for the Denver Broncos, And when you went and replaced him with the guy from South Carolina, you went from
Jimmy
5-star
Lindsey, yeah.
to 2.5-star.
Mm.
South Carolina won that deal.
Now he had a Pete Jenkins tie-in. He's like a legendary guru coach. Does that impact it at all? Does that matter?
No, no. There's a lot of coaches that love. Well, which guy did he come from? Dude, whatever. I look at the numbers. I don't care who tutored him. If you can't, did the numbers show you do it or not? Now again, this isn't an end all. It's just on paper. So there's other extenuating circumstances where you could grade a high guy or in lower. That's why the interview process is so critical. But in this case, I would have told you at the beginning of the year. Heck, I was on Feinbaum. I said, look, everybody's talking LSU national title. They ain't going to win it. I said this in August. They're not going to win it. Their defensive support staff and their defensive coordinator does not grade out as a national title winner. And the games they lose, it's because they're going to give up a ton of points. I said that in August on, national TV. Here we are talking about the same thing. It just happened to come true.
And let me ask this: have your rankings been impacted at all by the actual performance on the field this season, or is everything?
Nope, we won't do anything till December 15th.
So you have not updated anything since before the season, and it still is a bottom 5, Power 5 coaching staff on defense.
Yeah, we won't upload that stuff till December 15th and reevaluate everybody then.
Okay. So before the bowl games, roundabout, where's the offensive staff rank? Because they're killing it on that side of the ball.
Yeah, they're solid. Look, it's the number 1 scoring efficiency offense in college football. You got the Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, look at what he's doing with it. Well, look at what he's doing with a bottom 25 defense. He's carrying the team. Tim Brock is a 4-star offensive coordinator. He's a 4.5-star quarterback coach. Really like him. The support staff, I think there's some spots they can improve. But dude, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's working right now. So they're actually coaching above their grade. But the offense wasn't the problem, in my opinion, coming into the season. It was clearly on the defense. But there's no way I could have expected it to be this bad. Not with top 5 recruiting. No way.
Do you rate the head coach?
Oh, yeah.
What's
Brian Brian Kelly is 19th in the country coming into this season. He was the number 1 guy available that season. When he got hired, we had no problem with LSU grabbing him. If LSU didn't grab him, I'd have told Florida to grab him. Right? I mean, he's just solid. He's a really good coach. Now, cultural fit, this, that, and the other, that's up to you guys to decide. But on paper, this is a top 20 head coach in college football. You guys are just missing the defensive component. If Coach Kelly called me right now, me and my staff, we would have a top 20 defense on all those headsets within a week. I could do it with unemployed guys. There's that much talent out there.
Let me ask this. How does a school with top 5 resources like LSU end up with a bottom 5 defensive staff? Like, what usually goes on with that?
Because of connectivity. A lot of these head coaches don't have a lot of good connectivity. They don't have time to figure this out. And before us, nobody had anything like this available, Preston. I mean, we're not just the best at what we do. Nobody does this. I mean, it took us almost 6,000 hours and a decade of work to get where we are today. And it's what we have is not replicable, financially, realistically replicable. And we're so far ahead of the curve. All of our clients, look at our first client right in your backyard. First program that hired us 4 years ago for staffing. Tulane.
Yeah.
Right. Then right after Tulane, Oregon State. Both are in the top 25. Both have really good staffs.
There you go. LSU's DB's probably been the most struggled unit.
Oh, no X's and O's, baby. No, I can't get the X's and O's. I don't watch film. No.
I understand that. I was going to ask about the defensive back coaches.
Oh,
Steeples. Are they graded particularly low, or do you have that?
I don't like getting into individual guys.
Okay.
It starts getting too much into the secret recipes on stuff in terms of grading. But I can tell you, look, your average defensive guy, his grade is a 53 percentile. Okay. The average defensive coach in all of FBS is a 60. So on average, your defensive line, your defensive coordinator, your linebacker coach, safeties, DB, whoever's coaching, on average, that group is below.
It's a score of
average.
53. It's not a rank of 53.
That's not a rank of 53. I don't like ranking guys.
It's a score.
They have a score of 53. The average in FBS right now on defense is 60. So their average guy, you might have one really good one in there. But
Yeah.
on average, every single guy on defense is subpar to the rest of the FBS right now. It's that simple to me. There might be talent holes here and there, but LSU, man, that is a premium brand. That is a premium recruiter, and it's the offense is indicative of where the defense could be. I just think you either need to get some more defensive cohesion in the coaching staff, or retool it and bring in better guys.
All right. So LSU's defense just dropped off the planet this earth, and it's a very similar coaching staff to last year. And last year's defense was sufficient, right? Last year's defense wins the national championship for LSU this year, just period, right?
Right, something like that, right? I mean, LSU has a national championship offense right now. They just needed a defense that was top 25,
Average,
top 30.
yeah, just decent.
Nah, better than average. You got to be good, man. You got to be
I don't
good.
know. I saw.
Let's not discount it. Your national title, you had the number one offense, but you had the 17th best scoring efficiency defense. You still got to be good on both sides of the football.
Regardless, what do you? So my question with that is did Jamar Canes getting subbed out was that impactful?
Nah,
Or
I don't think so. I wouldn't imagine it is. Plus you had him subbing out, and then you had a new guy come in, but then he had to take a leave of absence.
yeah,
I think it was a perfect storm of there might be some holes in the defense. You had a underperforming by their career. You got an underperforming defensive staff to begin with, but to say if we'd had this discussion September 1 and said, hey, this defense is going to be outside the top 100 in scoring efficiency come November, how? I couldn't. There's just too much talent there, man. There really is. So I think it's more than just talent and coaching, but the coaching numbers back up why it's the weakest unit that you have easily.
So what about the coaching talent available out there right now? It's been a real hot topic for me as fans ask about whether or not LSU should retain Matt House or not. I can't help but think to myself, there's a lot of defensive talent out there from my perspective. Of I see guys like David Aranda might be on the table. He's probably going to get
Mm-hmm.
fired at Baylor. Zach Arnett just got fired at Mississippi State. Are these guys who are grading highly in your books as well? Or are there other names out there available for the grabbing that rate
Oh,
highly
you
to
mean like
you?
4.5 star Derek Mason? You mean like 4.5 star
Okay.
Jeff Collins? You mean like a 4 star running back / cornerback combo that was in the SEC and is a defensive analyst in the MAC? That's the thing. That's one of the things that we discovered, Preston, is that the reason staffing is so hard for a lot of head coaches is because they don't have time to go find these guys. They don't have time to find these guys and make the connection. They don't have time to find these guys, make the connection, and then see if they're any good. And so what we do is we shake the funnel down, right? So let's say the chief of staff or the football operations guy at LSU has an hour a week to go try to make contacts. How helpful would it be to go, Dave, I got to call 3 awesome cornerback coaches. We may or may not make a change, but if something happens, help me develop a list, right? So now what we're doing is we are actually helping college football get better, stay good. So these guys aren't lost in the system. But back to your question of, are there guys out there? Like I said before, any head coach, especially a head coach with your brand, awesome brand, SEC money, LSU money, right? I mean, this is big. This is I personally, okay, LSU annually is a walking national title contender. Okay, the only thing that separates it is coaching and just hitting some of the right buttons on the players and a little bit of continuity. That's it. When you recruit in the top 5, you have one goal, and that's a national title. Everything else is just kind of fun along the way. But this is a program with its money, its brand, and its recruiting. It should be It shouldn't be contending every year, but it should be in the conversation. That's why you recruit in the top 10 every year. So can LSU, with their money, go out and get a top 20 staff every year, even if guys leave or retire, right? And whether you're replacing guys because you want them to be replaced or you're replacing guys because the NFL took them, There's no reason, in my opinion, LSU should ever have less than a top 25 staff because there is so much undiscovered talent out there. People just don't realize it. You just got to know where to look.
And I definitely agree with everything you're saying. There's no excuse for LSU not to have such a talented coaching staff. What I do want to kind of circle back to, though, it has anything come across your plate where this looks like a better than average market for defensive coaches this year, or is that not something you've gotten a chance to dive into yet? Because just on the
Oh,
outside looking in, to me, it does.
it could be. I don't know what an average year looks like because there's so much
Yeah.
turnover, Preston. And see, and looking at it through the lens of LSU is different than looking through the lens of other programs, right? Because there's so much there's so much great about LSU getting there. See, because if you're let's say a DB coach like you talked, or a defensive line coach, any guy, and you have an opportunity to go to LSU. Number one, the most important thing in business is money. So a lot of fans like to think their guys love their program. No, they love getting paid because they don't know when they're not going to get paid. They get fired any minute. So first and foremost, can you make a lot of money at LSU? Yes, you can. If you get at LSU with a really good head coach, can he make a run for decades where you never leave? Yes, you can. Right. So there is more than just monetary opportunity at LSU. There's a lot of stability there. So what LSU can go get is very different than what Vanderbilt can go get or lure, which is also different than what Tulane can go get or what Louisiana Tech can go get or what Southern Mississippi can go get. So, to me with the LSU, yeah, let's just say you're right. Let's just say there's more defensive talent available out there. The way I look at it from LSU, you go get whatever the hell you want whenever you want it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like if I need this guy, I'm going to get him. Remember when Ohio State walked into Stillwater and grabbed Jim Knowles and put him on a plane and went home, just like that, right? That's what LSU should be able. If Brian Kelly wants to go get the number one running back coach in Texas, who's not in the Power Five, by the way, Brian Kelly can just walk over there and say, "Let's go. Here's your contract," right? Not everybody can do that. So I think when you're talking about the Tigers, it is more, and this is my opinion, okay, from my experience, the Tigers, it doesn't matter if it's down year or up year in defensive availability. The way I look at it, if you're a Tiger, everybody's available. Make them say no. You got the money, you got the brand, you got the recruiting. Make anybody in the country say no to you.
Well, here's the big money question. Then, that being said, let's say Dave Bartoo gets the head coaching job at LSU. Do you clean out the defensive staff, or is there anybody you retain based off of this year?
It's not based off of this year, right? I mean, yeah, this year was bad, but look, good coaches have bad years. That's college football, man. Do you know how hard it is to be good every single year? It's tough. Even winning a national title, you've been there. You know how tough it is. I mean, you've been a top 5 recruiter for a century, and you got 2. So, anyways, I would just start with what's on the board first and take a look at it. I wouldn't go so far right now. If I was the head coach, I'm cleaning house because that's usually what happens with a new head coach. But I would take a look at each guy individually for their strengths and weaknesses rather than a group as a whole.
Well, you heard it. That's Dave Bartoo, managing partner at Matrix Analytical. Why don't you tell the people where you can check out your Twitter handle is at CFB Matrix? Is that right?
Yeah, Twitter handles at CFB Matrix. DM's always open. I am into football nerdery. If you send me a DM, if it's cool, I'll send it back to you. If you want to hit me on the text line, and look, the text line, I've gotten hit from board of trustees, head coaches, football ops. If you're a fan and you got a question, after all this is like drinking through a fire hose, folks. I get it. It is nothing you ever heard, and we are unique. But you can also hit me on the text line, 971-217-8419. I try to be an open book because I love making college football smarter.
There it is. Hey, look, he gave you his cell phone number to text, guys. I mean, what a plug. Thank you, Dave. I hope you have a great night.
Thank you, man. Appreciate being on.